Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 196 for August 3rd, 2016. My name is Russell Frost. I continue to be your friendly host for this week's episode. Tony Schaefer's taking the week off. Danny Cooper's taking the week off. In fact, I think they're on a golfing trip together or something. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I seem to be shedding co-hosts faster than... Is it me? Do I smell? Is it... What? I mean,
they're off on a cruise laughing at you somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we do this by video, so I mean, it can't be like any personal habits. It's got to be like, what, they just can't take the video stream? I don't know. I'm developing a thing, and yeah, really, sounding pathetic on this show isn't a good... I'm not going to... Let's move on. Luckily enough, I have three of my favorite panelists this week to join in the fray, as it were. So let's introduce them, starting with the man most to the west. He is our man in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hello, glad to be back. Yeah, I guess I'm the most west with no Patrick this week, so good to see everybody.
I just want to tell you, the back wall's looking a little more organized this week, Paul.
Yeah, I can turn it to the messy section here. But
It's not
some
bad.
fan belts and wipers and
Yeah.
No, everything looks like it's on the pegboard. Looking good.
It's looking a little more organized. Nicely done, sir.
okay. I'll thank you for that.
We'll come a little bit to the east. Our man in the Midwest, he drives the fastest Tesla in Springfield, Missouri. His name is Dr. Evan Fusco.
Hey, everybody. Not sure it even qualifies as that, but we have two Teslas. We're probably the only two Tesla family in Springfield, Missouri.
He is the only two Tesla family in Springfield.
At least on your block.
And I'm drinking some of my homebrew, my Itchy Kilt Irish Red that was bourbon barrel aged. It's quite delicious. It's matured since the last time I was on the show and drank it, and it's really nice.
Is it like 11% or something? Or?
No, it's really not that high. It's got a strong alcohol flavor because of the bourbon barrel, but it's not a high alcohol content. Actually, I think it's only about 4 to 5%.
Well, let's see in about 45 minutes how you...
I'll go put my kilt on.
I just want to tell you, the show's only going to get better, folks, so stick with us to the end. And speaking of sticking with us, our man in the politest country, and I'll explain that in a minute, on the planet, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
On the planet. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, we'll take that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Looking forward to another show. And Russell, we've got your Chesterfield out in the parking lot. So I got some photos to back that up later on.
I move in the new place next week, so I'm excited because I've never had a Chesterfield. So,
you probably have. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, now I have one. And Mark, so I have to tell you now, brief digression here. Pardon me, listeners, but I have to. So the newest thing, if you have Netflix, you're always looking for something new. You're always looking for like a series that you can get into. So the newest thing is Canada Border Security. Okay? These are the most polite cops I've ever... I mean, they're horrifyingly... They're more polite than like Catholic school fourth graders. They're like, please, sir, would you put your hands behind your back?
Are you trying to smuggle something in?
Yeah. I know you're not trying to smuggle this, but... I see all this. I see this suitcase full of cocaine. What is this for? It's amazing. I want to do something bad at the border just to get busted.
Oh, man.
Well, when you're going up to pick up your Chesterfield, you can...
Yeah. No.
What's your purpose of going to Canada?
Try to lie through the border there, yeah.
So if you're looking for something to watch on Netflix, folks, Canada Border Security, it's a fine program. And you will see our polite friends in the Great White North.
No swearing at all, no R rating. It's just a G-rated show.
Yeah. Oh, you can't. Listen, I've crossed the border more than a few times. I know what the American side's like, and believe me, it ain't anything like that. And I'm an American coming back into America. The way they treat foreigners going into Canada is like blew my mind, dude. Blew my mind. Well. So much for that. And speaking of my mind blown, I don't know how that's it's pretty mind blowing. I'm going to turn the mic over to Mark, and Mark's going to talk about EV sales in July.
Yeah, there's been an explosion again for the second month in a row. The EV sales have gone through the roof from all manufacturers compared to a year ago in 2015. To give you a sense of that, we're looking at about 13,500 sales across the board for all brands, and last year it was under 9,000. So it's quite a jump, and the trend is continuing. So we've got a link from Inside EVs, and they're certainly anticipating that the entire year is going to be a blowout record halfway into the year. They don't see anything but records for the remaining 6 months of the year. So pretty spectacular. So everything's
awesome.
heading in the right direction.
Well, what's really cool is gas is going down again. It's like hovering around $2 here. And it's cool to see people are still buying EVs even with cheap gas. So
yeah. And on that note as well, milestone for the Chevy Volt sold its 100,000th car in late July in the United States. So they're now over 100,000 cars. 84,000 of them were the first generation, and the remainder the newer generation. So
wow.
So now that rule's going to start coming into effect in the United States as well about the federal tax credit. So that's now going to start coming into play after 3 months, I believe. So I guess the rules for the tax credit will start to change if nothing changes to the rule at this point. So which it appears that it's not going to change. So we'll see.
What is that? Which rule?
Well, you've got that $7,500 federal tax credit, right? Once you reach the magic 100,000 per manufacturer, then it's going to start to phase out. And the first, I believe, 3 months, there's no change to it. It just continues along. And then after that, there's going to be a reduction in that $7,500. And eventually, over a number of quarters, it will actually disappear. And another number of interests that GM published with their 100,000 mark sales were EV miles traveled in the Volt. 1.5 billion EV miles traveled in the Chevy Volts on the road, with a savings of 58 million gallons of fuel.
Wow, sweet.
So
maybe that's why gas is cheap all of a sudden. Cause
a little bit, yeah, there's less demand. Exactly.
Yeah.
I actually love hearing those numbers because when I first bought a Prius and just kind of started dipping my toe in the alternative energy world, that was kind of my logic. I would add up the gallons saved and like how much of a swimming pool of gasoline is that I've saved. And I think it's a good way to envision what the impact that it really makes to do this, because you can talk about dollars and carbon dioxide. Nobody can picture how much carbon dioxide is anything. It doesn't mean anything. But if you can say that many gallons and that would fill up 700 Olympic-sized pools or whatever it is, that's something people can wrap their heads around and go, wow, that matters. That makes a difference. And I like hearing stuff like that.
Yeah. So here's for even better in August. We're looking forward to August numbers now.
Yeah, I was going to add too that those numbers were that good despite the fact that Tesla's deliveries were down significantly from what they were predicting. Obviously they make up a significant portion of those sales. So.
Yeah, actually the Model S hit 2150. In the previous month, in June, the Model S was 3,700. So yeah, that is quite a difference.
Wow.
Yeah, well, and the Model X too, 750 this month, 2145 in June.
Right.
Wow.
Pretty massive drop.
What was it? A production issue? It had to be, right?
I think so, and I'm not sure why.
Okay. Interesting. Maybe Elon. You know what? Maybe Elon was just like canceling reservations right and left because a lot of people were pissing him off. Can I just tell you the most amazing thing about this whole little chart that was on the screen here a little earlier? I'm sorry, last month in July, there were 20 Mitsubishi i-MiEVs sold. Okay, in the previous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Year.
months, there were 20 Mitsubishi I-Beams sold.
There was a sale. Two for one.
Yeah. Where did they
Maybe
come
they were
from?
blowing them out before they go to business or something.
I don't know. Yeah, it was like somebody found 20 of them in a barn. You know. So.
I did see. It's fun looking at these cars. 'Cause most of these cars I don't see in Springfield, shockingly. But when we were in Europe, we saw a lot of small electric vehicles. We saw an IME, some of the Fiats, and several other.
There's a Renault something or other, right?
Yeah, there's several different brands out there, and it was kind of interesting to see those running around.
Did you figure out what gas costs in Europe when you were there?
Well, I did diesel because that's what we were driving, a diesel vehicle, and
A Volkswagen diesel?
no, no.
Sorry.
What was it? Oh, I think we were paying. It varied because France was significantly cheaper than Switzerland, and I want to say it was like 145 euros per liter, so probably a little over $6.
Yeah.
And then it was higher than that in Switzerland.
Crazy.
Yeah, not cheap.
Crazy. Well, our next story gives me a chance to get us to earn our explicit tag this week. So, I'm going to call this guy Douche Canoe of the Week. A young man named Jeff, and I don't think it has Jeff's last name, which is really somehow appropriate. But I just want to give you a warning. He's a Pink Java Media, so if you do any business with Pink Java Media, you might want to grow up and not. Anyway, posted a cute little GIF that got some attention online. It was him playing Pokemon Go on the touchscreen in the Tesla Model S. And, of course, lots of people ran with it. Oh, my God, he's hacked the screen to play. Even though, if you thought about it for 30 seconds, it didn't make any goddamn sense. If you read the article at Teslarati, it will explain it in detail. Suffice to say, it was a hoax and a stupid one, and it doesn't work because of the way the Tesla's wired. You can't access the cameras that way and then play a game over it. It's just it doesn't work that way. So, yay, hoaxes. I love internet hoaxes. Kind of like April Fool's Day on the internet. I just want to turn the computer off and not turn it on again.
You sure it wasn't a limited edition Pokemon Tesla?
Ooh,
yeah.
Fun.
The loser edition?
Mind blown.
Talk about moneymaker. Man, they get charged double for that car.
Am I being too mean to this guy?
I think it's funny.
He got his 3 minutes of fame or whatever.
Yeah, why not?
Being a douche. I mean, if that's how you're going to get fame, great.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, earn it the hard way. Be a douche for 6 years like me. Come on here once a week and make an idiot out of yourself. Don't just do it for 3 minutes in an animated GIF. And yes, all of you already typing your emails that it's pronounced GIF, I know. Okay? Like that. I don't care.
Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling better. It's been a long day, and I don't have any of Evan's fine beer. I'm drinking diet soda. So next up is something that Evan's somewhat reluctant to talk about. So I'm going to just introduce it. Evan's going to say nothing about it, probably, and then we're going to move on to the next story. But Evan has sort of fallen into organizing what he is calling on Facebook the Springfield Tesla Test Drive Event. And if you search on Facebook for the Springfield Tesla Test Drive Event, you will see it.
You got to clarify which state Springfield is in, because there's 39
Missouri.
Springfield,
Missouri, yeah.
Springfield, Missouri. So if you have an interest in maybe driving a Tesla or just hanging out with the famous Evan Fusco, it's August 17th. He doesn't have a lot of other details yet, but sign up on his Facebook page, and maybe you can have your 3 minutes of fame that doesn't involve Pokemon.
So since you brought it up, you make me talk about it a little bit. So let me just say the order. So what's going on here in the bigger picture is Tesla is starting to try to reach out to some of the outside markets, outside of their major metropolitan areas where their sales their sales stores are. And so I was contacted as a longtime owner and advocate by the Kansas City Sales Department and asked if I would be interested in hosting a test drive event. I said, yeah, sure, whatever. And, so you can do it at your house or wherever you're comfortable. Well, this one's sort of ballooned out, and I'm now involved with some people that are probably going to be able to allow me to host it at some fairly large venues. And I've had a few other people contact me that have car enthusiast groups that may have large memberships that may be bringing multiple people to do these test drives. So it's kind of exploded a little bit.
Does Tesla provide the cars, or do you have to give them your personal cars?
No, they're going to bring down several vehicles, and they'll have representatives here, and presumably computers to allow people to order if they so desire. And beyond that, I don't really know what they're going to provide. I don't know if they're going to offer any funds to help with food and other refreshments. I don't know if they're going to have a tent and a table. I don't know if they're going to have. I just don't know. And so that's why I was hesitant to really bring it up, because I don't know that August 17th date is even chiseled in stone just yet. So, but I think to make this story of interest to other viewers, I mean, I suspect we're going to start seeing a lot more of these around the country, because they're trying to get a little outreach. For where I live, in relation to Kansas City and St. Louis, which are the two nearest sales places, and really Kansas City is the only real store. That's at least a 3-hour drive from here. Right. So, for people, you can't just pop in and do a test drive. You got to schedule it. So you got to be planning a trip to Kansas City, and you got to be thinking about doing a test drive and scheduling that test drive during your trip to Kansas City at a time you're not doing something else while you're up there. And so this is a nice opportunity to attract a fairly large population. We've got the Springfield metropolitan area is about 250,000 people, so not exactly tiny, and so they're reaching out to other advocates that supposedly have connections with people that may be interested, and to try to bring them in. So to that end, I think it's a really good thing. It extends their marketing, and since at least they're not under any dealership laws in Missouri, it's fairly unlimited for what they can do and where they can go.
So it's kind of like a Tupperware party?
Kind of like a Tupperware party. Longaburger baskets and...
Longaburger baskets?
Russell's on his way.
God, oh yeah.
They need a Longaburger camera bag for you.
Yeah, that's me. They're gonna hopefully burn that building down pretty soon. That'll actually make me happy. That thing's an eyesore. Let's see. So what's next? I must have a news story. Oh yes, I do. Interesting story in the Washington Post, and it's a little. No, it's not. It's what we talk about. We talk about transportation here. And I don't need to beat this too much to death, but Emily Badger wrote a really nice story about how people, and especially poor people, pay for parking even when they can't afford a car, and what the cost of actually parking is. And this is something most people don't really think about, especially when we mandate certain developments have so much parking, certain things in cities have so much on-street parking or off-street parking, how it breaks up sidewalks and breaks up neighborhoods. Parking is it's just something that most people expect. When in fact, I mean, Evan, you've traveled elsewhere outside of the U.S. Tell me, do other countries handle parking maybe a little differently than we do?
Quite a bit differently. Almost everywhere you go, you have to pay. There are a lot more parking garages because spaces tends to be more limited, and you pay by the hour or minute or however they choose to break it up. So, maybe some limited street parking in some spots, but especially in Europe, if you park, you pay.
Yeah. The idea that ownership of a car means you automatically get a free parking place somewhere on a public street, isn't a given. Anyway, it's a really interesting article. I encourage everyone to visit us at whatdrives.us and click on the link and check it out. And I don't mean to cut off discussion on it. Paul or Mark, if you would like to say something, please.
Well, it makes sense. Like if you're building a grocery store, you've got to have X number of parking spaces, and that means a bigger footprint of land, and that's going to increase your operating costs. It's going to increase the cost. You're going to have to charge more for everything you sell in the store, even for people who take public transit to the store.
Right,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And that's really the point here, is that people who don't have cars in urban environments are paying for parking for people who are car owners.
Right. Or people who ride their bike, or yeah.
We find in our city it's starting to it's gotten to the edges of the city, and now the city's going up instead of spreading out. So more larger buildings are being built, and there is a uproar over parking in our area now, as they talk about, what used to be unlimited now is starting to become a limited resource. And every time they put up a large building, part of the city plan is you have to have X% of parking spaces built underneath the new building. Otherwise, they don't get the permit to build it.
Yep.
Right.
So they don't want the streets clogged with cars. They would much rather the developers pay for those buildings and have the cars parked on the properties, or in this case, below the properties. But kind of interesting is, as we're transitioning from a spread out community to more of a high-rise community, it's something that everyone is starting to see.
So it's interesting, though, on the other side of things, it's a marketing tool for businesses. If you can go to the Walmart over here that has free parking, or the whatever, Kmart, or wherever else everybody shops, that you have to pay to park.
No one shops at Kmart anymore.
All right, but wherever they
Do they even exist?
where do they go? Target. Let's go Target.
Target.
Target, but you have to pay to park there. I don't know. I suspect people are going to go, I'm not going to go pay. All I need to pick up is toilet paper,
Assuming you have a car.
Right.
But if you're taking mass transit, you're walking across a half-mile wide parking lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's sort of the other thing, it just, I guess our car culture has created this sort of set of like automatic givens, automatic prerequisites that we just take for granted.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a part of that. The car culture, I think you're right, is probably part of it. The other part is we have an abundance of open space in this country compared to Europe. So it's pretty easy to find a big plot of land, and it doesn't cost all that much more to get the extra couple acres. Right.
I'm sorry, have you been to San Francisco?
Or Manhattan?
Certainly the big cities, yeah. But even in California, there's areas that have quite a bit of open space.
Yeah, but land in California is expensive, even in the crappy neighborhoods. I mean, look, if we could park cars in Montana for people shopping in Seattle, I'd totally be with you.
But like Trader Joe's in San Francisco has like a parking corraler that kind of like, park here, move out, like a guy navigating the parking lot just to get people in and out, because there's only so many spaces and so many shoppers.
I noticed that on my trip to Los Angeles, that I went to a local eatery that had a grocery store as well, and they had two of those guys directing people in and out of parking spots at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and I was shocked.
Yep. But it was still free parking, though, right?
It was still free parking, yes.
Right.
So you had to pay extra for the guy that was directing traffic.
Yeah.
Well, and that's absolutely true.
Well, the problem is if they don't have the parking, what do you call them, navigators, the customer's going to get frustrated and leave the parking lot.
Yeah.
So if they can make it more efficient, they're going to go in the store and spend some money.
Right.
Or run somebody down. No, I mean, Evan, you have a good point. I mean, we obviously have more space in this country than in other places, especially, for instance, Europe. But it depends on where you are, and look at Mark's situation, where there's certainly space in Canada, but where he lives in that area is getting more built up. So space becomes a premium. So all of a sudden, parking cars becomes an ever-increasing expense. That's more and more, in a sense, you have to justify it. The people who don't drive, more and more of whom exist every day, are paying for that.
Right.
We're just gonna pave Northern Ontario, and everyone can take the Hyperloop in.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. We park them in Montana. We shuffle them down to Phoenix, or just go down there and shop or something, or melt and
melt.
I don't know. Montana. Oof. Okay. Speaking
That's
of
another state that we've taken.
So,
Another
I
one
mean-
off the list.
another state,
Just put the
Three more
X rate on
viewers
it.
gone.
Kansas last week, Montana. I love Yellowstone though, so the hell with all of that. I love Yellowstone. A little earlier, I made sort of a funny haha, or I thought it was at least, about the Mitsubishi iMeave, where they even found 20 of them to sell. Well, Stephen Edelstein at Green Car Reports just a couple of days ago followed up on a Mitsubishi press release. Guess what? The Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in's delayed again.
Oh,
God.
I'm getting a lot of mileage out of this car that we're never going to see.
Does it even exist?
So, I don't know who's worse, like Chrysler or Mitsubishi. Like Mitsubishi, who's trying so incompetently and flailing about, or Chrysler, who's like, we don't even care. Look at our trucks, man, rolling coal. Which, if you saw the Facebook page, I posted that from their Twitter stream.
But
I mean,
like the Outlander PHEV is like the only car Mitsubishi has any chance of selling, right? Like
you would think, right? Especially with the success of the RAV4 hybrid.
Yeah.
Well, they've sold a boatload in Europe.
Yeah.
So it must be that they
just
don't
change the
have
speedometer to miles and put it
or
in the store.
they don't have stock. They don't have enough batteries. They don't have some part. Like it's remarkable that it's been this delayed this many times.
But I mean, there's been rumors of them circling the drain and circling the bowl, I guess, in America for some time, and that's the car that could keep them alive. So.
But instead,
they delay it.
I don't know. I don't understand Mitsubishi at all. Again, it's sort of
Maybe
like
the
Honda.
factory can only make them with the steering wheel on the other side or something.
Oh, they'd have to turn everything around backwards.
Yeah, but they're really popular in England.
They'd have to hire like left-handed people to make them.
Left-handed drivers, at least.
It's so good to have somebody with some technical knowledge on the show, Paul, because I wouldn't think of that. I wouldn't think of that at all. I'd just be like, I don't know. Don't you just flip this jig over and boom, it's on the other side?
Why won't the U.S. version get CHAdeMO if it's available on the rest?
Are you talking about the Highlander?
No, this freaking Outlander thing.
Oh, the Outlander. I'm sorry. I don't know. Why CHAdeMO? Who cares? It's not even here. You can't charge it anyway.
There's CHAdeMO all over.
No, CHAdeMO's here, but the car isn't here.
Yeah.
I know, but they said they're going to give it to everybody but the U.S.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't want to sell it here.
Maybe they're trying to go out of business.
Shell Oil is paying them a stipend not to sell it. I don't know.
We got $250,000 up here sitting in Ontario just waiting.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Well, our final story this week was reported. Well, no, it wasn't reported. It was re-reported. It was aggregated. I talked about it in the Prius Owners Group this week. It's an interesting story to me because, obviously we don't know everything yet, but Toyota Japan announced that they're delaying the upcoming Prius Prime, which had previously been announced, and I'm sorry, I got to make fun of this. Nothing comes out in the autumn except fun leaves and maybe apple cider, okay? Cars come out in a certain time, and I know you guys, car companies, don't want to, not pin yourselves down to something small because you have a hard time with deadlines, but really, coming out in autumn? Anyway, so now it's not coming out in autumn, it's coming out in winter.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the same spokesperson went back and clarified that this release only applies to Japan. They did not say that it hasn't been changed in the United States or that it would be or anywhere else. They just said that they're only talking about Japan. So why would Toyota delay for an entire season their arguably most anticipated efficiency environmental vehicle, a car that they've really kind of pushed a little bit? A car which, by the way, is 3 years late, 2 years late. This isn't a car this isn't like a single, this car was supposed to come out 18 months ago. Evan, I'm looking at you and I
don't know when it was supposed to come out. They always told us it would be late after the 2016. So I thought they were still fairly on timeline from what we were originally led to believe.
Well, again, we may not be talking about America. Maybe that press release is going to come out tomorrow, or ideally on a Friday at about 4:45. But I think it's interesting. I mean, especially as huge as the fourth generation Prius is in Japan, why they would push Prime back. And I think that's sort of the interesting thing. Is it?
Maybe they don't have enough batteries?
I don't know.
Because there's a new hydrogen model ready to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't keep up with production of all those Mariahs.
Yeah, the Mariah's taking all their resources. They have so many orders.
Yeah. Well, and part and parcel with this, for some reason, I tend to link these two, and I shouldn't, was, again, another story that I talked about in the Prius Owners Group. There is a federal class action lawsuit building. I don't know that it is officially enjoined, or whatever the legal term is, against the first generation Prius plug-in, which the Prius Prime is the second generation Prius plug-in. For those of you who weren't aware, this is alleged by, let's see here, Richard Rosenbaum in Michigan. Yes, Michigan Federal Court. He bought a Prius plug-in hybrid in 2012, and he says that, and I'll quote the Green Car Report story, quote, "The suit also suggests that the Prius plug-in hybrid will not operate in electric-only mode at all in temperatures below 55 degrees Fahrenheit." It arranges that the electric range is of 11 miles is deceiving because it actually only has a 6-mile continuous battery-only operation. Again, that's according to the EPA. And of course, then we go back.
Is this guy a lawyer or something?
Well, I mean, it's easy. You can throw that stick at anybody who starts a class action. And that's one of the points of my, Prius Owners Group article is the problem with class actions is the only people who win are the lawyers and the one dude who filed it.
Right.
Everybody else gets like $1 and a postcard.
A free charger for their iPhone or something.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a free charger. You know what I mean? But it goes back to the chief engineer of the new Prius Prime and the current chief engineer for Prius describing, and I use his word, the first generation Prius plug-in Prius as a failure. And you gotta know that's going to be on like a big, huge poster board in the courtroom. Yeah. Okay. Chief engineer called this vehicle a failure.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's called padding your case.
Yeah.
I don't. So,
whatever happened to your mileage may vary. I mean, like.
Well, Honda, Hyundai, they've both been nailed by lawsuits and federal action like this by distorting numbers. Ford, I think, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, a part of me just hates the idea that another class action suit that nobody's really going to get anything out of. And the other side, is this an indictment of building tepid cars, tepid compliance cars? Is this what happens to you?
It could certainly be a symptom of it, but as you even know, Russell, driving that car, if you faced any type of a hill or any type of acceleration, the motor was coming on. Like, there was no doubt.
Right.
My reputation precedes me. I haven't quit watching the Cardinals.
Not just
game.
Russell driving the car.
I was actually looking to see how many Prius plug-in sales there were. Found an Inside EVs article from 2 years ago.
16 or something.
No, 65,000.
Really?
That was 2 years ago. Now, I don't think they sold a lot after that, because I think they pretty much shut down production a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably not much over 65. So I don't know how big a lawsuit this can be, but I don't know.
It's certainly like as Russell has mentioned, this was a compliance car. Like, there's no question.
Right.
It's very low on the EV side. It was enough to get some credits.
It was enough to get a sticker in LA.
Sticker, yeah.
Drive the HOV lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's exactly what it was used for.
Yeah.
And just to make things more complicated, I put my own original review of the prototype from 2010. my video of it at the bottom of the page, where I note the limitations and I also say, I call the review a small step forward. It's a step forward, but it wasn't a bad car, but it wasn't like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't game changing in any way, shape, or form. It really almost wasn't even evolutionary. And again, I wonder if this is the kind of thing that you have to face when you're just trying to get by, when you're not really trying very hard. Is that too harsh on Toyota?
I think it was a compliance car, and that was probably the minimum requirement CARB would allow, and that's what they set the bar real low.
And it's hard to know what expectations that guy was really given.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty pitiful vehicle.
Plus, if you live in Michigan, you're going to want to run the gas engine to get heat in the frickin' winter. I mean, like,
Right. Well, I mean, there's that too. Yeah, Michigan's a hella cold place.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm not by any means like, yay, class action suit.
Oh, hang on. The lawyer spearheading this is based in Michigan. Let me guess. His other clients are GM and Ford.
Well, I'm sure that doesn't hurt either, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't think that doesn't happen. I'm sure, a GM threw up a lot of fuzz when Prius, before they had anything to compete with Prius, GM spent a lot of time and money throwing up a lot of disinformation. A ton of money.
Yeah, we all remember the story that the Hummer has a smaller carbon footprint than the Prius.
Sure. And they had shills all over the place writing stories about how bad the Prius was and nickel mines. And, we've heard the stories. We make fun of them now. But, 10 years ago, it was just annoying because it was just everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, now those nickel mine stories, of course, have changed to lithium mine stories.
Right.
And they're using the same pictures, which is nice. I mean, it's convenient.
It makes it easier to
Same photo. That one mine provides nickel, lithium, rare earth magnets, everything.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys listen to the Gigafactory presentation last Friday?
I did.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. They talked quite a bit about lithium and how much is available, and really the lines from that should be printed boldly every time somebody brings up how it's a rare earth metal, meaning it's not rare, it's a rare earth metal. But anyway, there are more than sufficient quantities to power every vehicle on the planet with lithium batteries, and easily, and it's extractable from multiple areas, and it was pretty interesting to hear them talk about that and really put aside those concerns completely.
And even recyclable.
And recycle, yeah, that was a cool piece too as well. They talked about the recycling and how much more efficient their recycling is going to be in the Gigafactory, because the recycling machines will be customized for the batteries that they're making. So they're going to recycle their own batteries in their own recycling machines that are perfectly made to recycle every bit of every battery and reuse every piece of it, which is way better than just some randomly, breaking up a battery and trying to extract as much lithium as you can out of it.
Well, and the average consumer doesn't realize that even your 12-volt lead-acid battery that's in every single car on the planet, over 98% of them get recycled, because it's way cheaper to recycle them than to make new ones. And that's why when you buy a new battery at your O'Reilly or AutoZone store, there's a $10 core charge if you don't bring back the old battery. So everybody brings back the old battery, and they all get recycled.
Yep.
Right.
And it's going to be the same thing with lithium cars.
Right.
You're going to have different equipment to do it, but the Tesla factory will do it, and I'm sure there'll be other companies doing it.
Well, and that was one of those other early Prius myths, is that all these batteries are just going to be laying around in junkyards. And now, Paul, as you know, old Prius batteries are like gold.
Even a crappiest crap battery is worth $400. So no one's going to throw it in the ground. There's core buyers that go around begging to buy them for $400. So
I mean, it's
and out of curiosity, Paul, what's being done with those core batteries?
They are being rounded up, put into trucks, and sent to, there's 3 or 4 specialty recycling facilities in the U.S. that can break them down and recycle them. So they're certainly not going to Toyota's landfill pit, wherever it is.
I don't think Toyota has a land. I think Toyota recycles them too.
Yeah. Well, they have a deal with a recycling company, but they're definitely getting recycled.
You trying to start trouble, Paul? No. Because those
do you have a lithium mine picture you want to share with us, Paul?
Same one that's just Google.
Hey, Paul, Tom Stagel just messaged me. He said he's got a battery for sale.
Now, if he brings it here, we'll give him $400 for it.
There you go, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's you got to have a truck full for it to make financial sense. But that's what Toyota does when they get all their spent batteries. They save them up and fill up a truck and send them to regional, and then send them to wherever the nearest recycling center is, and they all get taken care of.
Hmm. I don't want to get too deep into this, but I'm just curious, Paul. So the battery packs that I've seen, the orange, what is the actual cell brick? It's a rectangular slab, right?
Yeah. Hang on a sec. I'll go grab one.
Oh! Show and tell.
Here we go.
That's the best. You have Paul on the show. Paul's like, oh yeah, here, let me just
got several.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on one
all right.
now.
Those of you at home.
I have one stuck up my rear. Let me pull it up for you.
This is a typical Prius hybrid battery module. I don't know if you can see it here. It's about 2 beers wide.
2 beers wide.
And a beer high.
I've never seen something measured like that.
Okay.
So in the Prius battery pack is a number of these. This is from a Gen 1 Prius. Gen 1 has 38 of these modules. Gen 2 has 28. Prius C has 20. Camry has 34. Depending on the car, they use a variety of these modules. The Chevy Yukon and Tahoe hybrid actually has 40 of these, and they use the exact same ones that Toyota uses. But anyway, if you disassemble the battery pack, this is what's inside, and this is, the part that's worth something, and that gets ground up, and the metals and minerals and whatever else is in here gets separated and recycled. So.
So
pretty simple.
That's the actual battery. There aren't batteries inside of that. That is the battery.
This is a module that actually contains 6 cells.
It does.
So
okay.
You can actually see the little.
Oh yeah.
You can't break it down any further. So technically, this is a battery, because a battery is more than one cell.
Okay.
But like in a Gen 2 Prius, there would be 28 of these in your battery pack.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
And in there is nickel metal hydride of some kind.
Correct. And it's not a liquid. I mean, you can tip it upside down, doesn't leak.
Don't spill it.
There's no. I got bare hands. I'm not getting acid fingers. Sometimes there's a little bit of a kind of a residue thing. I don't know if you can see that there.
Yeah.
But this is a 15-year-old battery, and some kind of chemical is maybe leaching out, or was part of the contact adhesive they used or something. But anyway, this is pretty common.
Huh. Very cool.
And none of these get thrown away. I mean, they all get recycled.
Interesting. They're valuable.
They're valuable.
Go figure.
I mean, you can go on eBay and buy these for $35-40 a piece if you wanted to repair your own battery. So.
Wow. Crazy. Well, Paul, thanks for show and tell, dude. That's like the most awesome way to conclude the show ever.
Yeah.
Evan, are you okay?
I'm good.
Okay. How's that beer
Is
doing?
the 9% kicking in?
It's good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Evan Fusco made it to the end of the show. A little hand for our friend Evan Fusco. Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's move on to the shout-outs and go home. I think we've done a fine show this week. Mark, why don't I start with you?
Okay, just a shout out to our Waterloo Regional Voltec group. As you heard on the last show, we went out and opened the temperaments. And Russell, of course, has indicated that if you don't have pictures, it didn't happen. So we took some photos.
Ah.
And,
opened the what?
The temperaments. What's wrong? Bosco, don't you watch?
Are you not listening to the show?
I have had too much to drink.
Oh. Why do we have him on?
Was the charger actually working?
The charger was working and charging a couple of cars while we were there.
Cool.
Well, look
So
how
there's
fancy everybody's
Is that
dressed.
Mr. Tepperman there in the
That is Andrew Tepperman, the son of the owner, and two operational officers with him. One store manager, one operations officer.
Cool.
And that's a Kia Soul they've got it plugged into at that time. And there's the Tepperman sign behind them in the storefront.
Okay, not a good pose.
Exactly that.
I'm sorry. Could have got someone shorter to do that. You know?
And there's the
Wow.
one cars
Wow.
that were there. We had a group of about 15 showed up, so that was good.
So did it get picked up
Wow.
in the local newspaper or anything?
Not a speck of news, no.
Wow.
No, nothing.
Not too bad.
Do you have to burn something down?
I think so. I think if we had to burn that apartment building across the street, we would have got some news.
Or a
Yeah.
Tesla that caught fire.
Yeah, there's that. Wow. So I'm sorry. How do I get my free Chesterfield?
Well, you can see it. It's over here in the background. It's by that auger over there.
Right.
So
By the
Now you're just-
auger.
Now you're just taunting me. I get it.
and then we had a Model X show up. So
Oh.
that was kind of cool too.
All right. Did you get to do donuts in it?
Oh yeah, we just spun around the parking lot for the rest of the evening. The owner wasn't too pleased, but we had a great time. Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, most of them are old and they can't really stop you. So,
Now, can you fit a Chesterfield through the Falcon wing doors?
Falcon wing doors.
we
that'd
picked
be
one
cool.
up and we just went right through the car. Yeah.
In fact, they just take those seats and put a Chesterfield in to the
Right.
Tesla Model
Yeah,
X.
we just folded them down and sat it in there. There you
I
go.
love that. I love that. A nice paisley pattern or something, you know? Ay. What have I done with my life? I mean, Mark, that's awesome. Seriously, you know what, dude? It's a shame you guys didn't get any credit on that. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, what? I don't know what's going on there. Maybe, the newspaper's just chock full of important news items, but that's cool. And that, there's nothing wrong with talking about
You know what
something
was
good.
great is that the owners of Tepperman's got really into it, and in fact, on site with all the EV people around, they said that they were going to put in another 4 chargers at their 4 other stores.
Oh,
Wow.
It was a great
cool.
story. It was wonderful. They thought it was great, and they want to do their part for the environment, and that's what they said they would do. So hats off to them. Fantastic. Loved it.
That's cool.
oh. Thank you, Evan. That's nice. Hey, Mark, thank you. That's awesome. And good for you, dude, because you were a big part of that. I mean, are you the catalyst here, or are you,
Well, we certainly want to give credit to the group. We all participated and won the charger, and certainly we had a discussion where we'd like to get it placed, and
yeah.
I was able to find a developer that would take it, and they had a client that wanted it. So
So
it
no
all worked
small
out
amount of work on your part. Good for
Yeah.
you, dude.
Good
I
job.
mean, that's making a real difference in the community. You know, that's cool. And what do we have to do to get that thing named like the What Drives Us Charger? Is that can I send somebody a letter or something? And
all we have to do is show up late at night with a can of spray paint. It's already
And a vinyl decal.
right, where's my damn Chesterfield on their front door? Yeah, you rat bastards. Speaking of rat bastards,
You
hey,
could put a sign on it that says "Parking only for electric Chesterfields." That will confuse people.
I like that. That's kind of weird. It's kind of surreal. I like that. Mr. Itchy Kill,
Yo. So,
talk to me, babe.
hey. So I don't know if there's some way to share it, but the one thing I thought about, if you want to give me a little love, and I'll give you some love back. There's Tesla has a referral program, and if you are interested in buying a Tesla Model S or X, you can get $1,000 off by using my referral code. or anybody else's. But
Can I get $1,000 off my Model 3 reservation with this code?
Unfortunately, no. No, they're probably once they've delivered the first 500,000, there will probably be some sort of referral program for that as well. But I think it's somewhat unlikely. Yeah, that won't help you. You got to have that whole URL.
You can't use Evan4452?
Maybe.
It's this unique referral code, okay? If I have to get on Elon, I will.
You might be able to use that. I don't
Okay.
know. But if you click through the link, then you can just click the design your Model S or design your Model S.
4,451 other Evans in this program?
There very well maybe. I don't know.
52. I have no idea.
We're hoping not.
Anyway, and so I get a little love back. I get like a free bag and a jacket if there's enough. And then I actually, this last referral period, I got a set of new rims with tires that are supposed to be pretty cool looking. So,
Wow.
So we'll see. But
Nice. I can't wait to see you thrashing the old ones down to the bare steel. Just run them right into the...
Run them in ludicrous mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had ludicrous mode, I would. I need some. That's the next thing. I need everybody to pitch in and buy me a ludicrous Model S.
Oh no.
What's
I'm not.
Powerball up to?
I'm not. Dude, I've seen you in a lawnmower. I think you're fine in your regular one. Okay? Last thing I need to do is give you more horsepower.
That's old.
I know.
You're
old, Go back. What can I say? Speaking of going back, Mr. Guzik, take it away, sir.
Yeah, so I'm going to do something different. I'm going to give a shout out to the Mirai. Not the Toyota car, though.
I just heard a what in the other room.
Curveball.
They're spelled a little differently, but there is a brew pub here in Boulder called the Fate Brewing Company, and they have a really nice IPA that's called Mirai. So whenever I think of Mirai, I'll think of good tasting beer and not unicorn cars. But it's spelled different. It's spelled Moirai. But had some last night. It was quite tasty.
That sounds
Wow.
like
my wife wanted you to know that you're forgiven.
Okay.
I have no idea why she's so hostile to the
Although maybe it's brewed with unicorn tears or something.
It could be. It could be ground up unicorn babies for all you know. I mean, it could be some horrible thing,
So it's the Fates.
Don't they do that with something? Isn't that Budweiser?
That's where they got it.
It's
So
like
Fate
kittens or
Brewing.
something, isn't it?
Soylent Green.
Yeah. Oh,
People.
yeah.
So anyway, if you're ever in Boulder, you can go to the Fate Brewing Company and have a Mirai.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're ever and if you ever need any kind of hybrid or EV repair, visit boulderhc.com so that you can have Paul do your work. If you're anywhere near Boulder, Colorado,
Although not after I've had a few Mirais, because it probably won't be very good work.
Wednesday night at 10, not a good time to have him do that. That's all we're saying. Any other time, Paul's very reliable.
Yep.
Well, speaking of reliable, if you own a Prius and you need accessories or fun stuff for your car, be sure to visit the Prius shop for all your accessory needs. You can find it at priuschat.com/shop. That's priuschat.com/shop. Every item sold at the Prius shop has been inspected and tested by Prius owners. priuschat.com/shop. All those offspring of Danny's need every penny. I also want to point out that there are two ways for you to look over our virtual shoulder. First, we have our Facebook page at facebook.com/whatdrivesus, where you can leave comments, suggest news, or just like the page. And for God's sakes, would you suggest it to your friends? Come on. Is it asking so much? Also, if you use Flipboard as a news aggregator, be sure to subscribe to our What Drives Us magazine. And of course, as always, I'm here to tell you that you need to visit us at whatdrives.us. We post every show in audio and video form for streaming or downloading. Also at whatdrives.us, we're posting articles and reviews from the experts. You see here, the guy who could just, boom, whipped up a Prius battery. Well, maybe someday he'll write something for the art page. He hasn't yet, but Tony Schaefer has. So there. Everything you need at whatdrives.us. Streaming options, if you want to never miss a show, subscribe to us on Stitcher, Slacker, YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. Did you guys get that?
How many shows have there been?
196 shows.
That's getting kind of close to a milestone number.
It is. We're coming up to 200. We're going to do something for 200. I don't know what it is. I think maybe we're just going to do the show naked. I mean, yeah, Evan has no problem with that. Paul,
He's got that itchy kilt. He's got to.
Whatever.
yeah, I mean,
If you want to lose every viewer we've ever had,
you know what? I respect all of our viewers, but I'm just saying we got to do something for 200. I don't know what, you know.
It's going to involve Chesterfields.
And it involves us being naked on Chesterfield. Yeah.
Drinking
Or
a Mariah.
perhaps not. Perhaps it'll involve funny jokes or something. I'm not sure. We haven't figured it out yet, but we're gonna have a blast. It's our 200th show, and you know, Jesus, 200 of these things. I mean, come on, a little respect here, folks. Okay. I'd also like to thank, let's see, Michael Mannering for our theme music. How can I forget Michael? Visit him at manthing.com and watch some of his amazing videos on YouTube. I do want to thank all of our panelists this week, Mr. Mark Coughlin, Dr. Evan Fusco, and of course, His Highness Professor Paul Guzik.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicely done, gentlemen. Paul, I mean, come on, man, whipping out the Prius battery cell? Dude,
cool.
seriously badass. Nicely
It's actually
done.
technically it's a battery or a module. It's not a cell.
Okay, sorry, Prius.
That would be
Oh.
1/6.
You know what? Take your pedantic butt back to Raleigh and have yourself a Mariah or whatever it is, okay? I don't work on them. I just host a show. You work on them. That's why you're here. I'm supposed to be kind of dumb. You're here to, well, I guess you did your job. You're here to correct me. I say dumb stuff, so that's okay. God, what else? I feel like I'm forgetting something. No, that's it. 200 show in a few weeks, kids. Otherwise, as always, thanks for listening. Tune in or download us next week and find out what drives us. I get to dance at the end, so you know.
The host can do it all.
Go, baby. Try not to break anything.
See you next week, kids. Hasta la vista, baby.